Good morning, everybody. It's time for us to review the problems from the next week when we are talking about comparing functions. This question says, translate into an expression. An initial population of 78 rare animals is growing at an animal reservation at a rate of 17% a year. How many animals will there be after 3 years? Okay, so a couple things stand out to me, and that is where it says the initial population is 78. Also important would be that it says it's growing. In fact, because it's growing, I can go ahead and mark off A and B because those say subtraction and growing would indicate that we need to add. And then 17% a year. How many animals will there be after 3 years? So all of these are going to be important. It's important for us to know that we always start off our expression with the initial population. And then because we're growing, we're going to add 1 plus 17%. But we need to take 17% and change it to a decimal. So when we take 17 and divide it by 100, then we get 0.17 or 17 hundredths. And then we always raise it to the third power because that's our time. So our time becomes our exponent. So our answer on this problem would be C. All right, moving to the next one. Okay, if I can get there. Here it is. Which table best represents the equation y equals 2x squared plus 5? Okay. Well, if you look, we've got several different values in here, and there's multiple ways that we can do this one. But if you look, all of them have 0 as part of their domain. So let me just put in 0 one time and see what happens. Okay, so 0 squared would be 0. And then 2 times 0 is 0. So when x is 0, y is 5. So let's mark off D, and let's mark off C. Okay. Well, if you look, that leaves A and B. And for A and B, both of them have 1 and 7. And those are the same. But if you look at the 5s, this one says 515 and this one says 555. So if we substitute in 5, then we should be able to tell which table matches our equation. So 2 times 5 squared plus 5. Well, 5 squared is 25. Times 2 plus 5. 2 times 25, 2 quarters is 50 cents. And so that answer would be 55. So that tells us that B is the correct answer for this problem. So again, there are different ways that you can do this, but I just chose to take the values of the table and plug them in until I found which one satisfied that situation. Okay, here's the next one. Which of the following is a quadratic function? Okay, quadratic function, well, that's pretty easy. I'm looking for anything that has x squared in it. This has x to the 4th. This has x squared. This has x to the 3rd, and this has just x. So that tells me that this one is linear. We haven't even done anything with x cubed, And we certainly haven't done anything with x to the fourth, so that leaves B as the correct answer. So again, when you see quadratic, look for anything with a variable squared. Okay, moving on. Okay, look at these functions. So we have function J, which is a linear function with a negative slope. If you'll look, you could tell that the y-intercept there is 4. And then function K is also a linear function, and it seems to be with a negative slope, and its y-intercept is -2. Okay, so let's see. Compare the functions. Function J and K describe the same function since they both have y-intercept before. Nope, this one does, J does, but K does not. Function J has a y-intercept of 4, true. Function K has a y-intercept of -2, so the functions are not the same. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with that. Function J and K describe the same function. No, these are not the same function. We've already established because they have different y-intercepts, they are not the same function. Okay, all right. Function J has a slope of -4/5, but function K has a slope of 5/4. So the functions are not the same. Well, we did talk about function K was a negative slope, but let's just see how I know that. If you look on the X or the input side, I'm adding 5 each time. And then on this side, I am subtracting 4 each time. So that would be -4/5. And this slope is also -4/5, but again, what is the difference? It is the y-intercept. So the only one that makes sense is B. Okay, move into the next problem. I believe this was your Friday problem. It says, what is an expression for the nth term in this sequence? Okay, so I'm looking for the nth term in this sequence. Okay, so let's look and let's see what's happening each time we change values. Okay, well, it appears that I am multiplying by 3 each time. So that tells me that I am going to have an exponential function, and my rate of change is multiplying by 3, so that gives me C for my answer. We can also plug in numbers, like this would be our first term, so 3 to the 1 minus 1 power is 1. And 3 to the 2 minus 1 power is 3. So that's just if you wanted to check yourself. All right, so the last problem of the week says, look at the functions. So we have two tables, function N and function P, and we're asked to compare the functions. Function N and function P describe the same function since they both have y-intercept of 4. Okay, so again, we're asking all about that y-intercept, so let's make sure we can identify that. Okay, function N does have y-intercept of 4. I know this because x is 0 and y is 4, but function P does not, so not true. All right, function N and function P describe the same function since they both have the slope of 2. Well, again, we know that they are not the same function. Because the y-intercepts are different, they cannot be the same function. All right, function N describes y equals 3x plus 4, And function P describes y equals 2x minus 6. Okay, so on function N, they do have the y-intercept correct. And on function P, they also have the y-intercept correct. So now we just need to find out what the slope is. So on this side, I'm adding 2 each time. And on this side, I'm adding 6 each time. So 6 over 2 is 3. So that checks out. And then let's look at function P. On this side, I'm again adding 2 each time. And on this side, I am adding 4 each time. So that makes that slope 2. Oh, that checks out too. So C is the correct answer. And if you look at D, why it's not correct, they've got the equations backwards. Okay, so that's it for this week. Hope this helps you as you prepare for your EOC.